You know, I wasn't really thinking about the future. And when you're a kid, that's why you are snorting coke and shooting things up, or nowadays popping pills, because you're not thinking about the future. And the same kind of happens with that.
Yeah.
But if we could just be like, dude, this is going to mess you up. Like, you're going to be smaller. You're going to, you know, you're going to have all these issues. You may have libido issues for life. Like, you may have all these things, but it's hard to get across them. But I get your point. Like, I might rather them mess around with some anabolics rather than some cocaine or the opiates and things now, or fentanyl, you know, all that terrible stuff.
I think that is something that more people kind of need to explore, because it does kind of seem like, you know, okay, maybe if somebody just goes on some test, okay, you'll get bigger, you'll gain some muscle. It might not be anything crazy, but if you choose to open Pandora's box and take some heavier things, that's going to put 30, 40 pounds of muscle on you. It's still something I'm just like, God, that must be fucking crazy. It's like, you now weigh 40 pounds less because you're choosing not to do it anymore. You're not the same human. You literally, you don't even perceive yourself as the same individual.
Yeah, because that becomes your identity.
That becomes your identity.
It happens really fast too, right? Whereas if you were doing it the natural route, it would take a couple years, which you would have to kind of like work for, and you would notice every day, and like, or maybe you wouldn't notice as much because it's slower.
Yeah.
But when you gain that muscle mass and that strength that quickly, you do feel like a fucking superhero.
Yeah, true. But only, I think, if you employ the right eating and work too.
Yeah.
I do really think that the work and all the lifestyle shit is so much more important than people put into it. And I used to kind of fall into that class of, oh, they're just doing steroids. Like, you know, I was competitive in CrossFit and stuff for a while, not like on the games level, but locally competitions. And I would look at the games level like, well, they're doing growth hormone and they've got a good hookup. That's why I'm not that. And I'm like, now I'm much more of a believer in, no, those dudes work their asses off. They put in the work, like, first and foremost. Like, I know you joked around about it, Mark, but I'm sure your work was way more than any drugs ever did. Like, it was the grind. It was the getting up and getting your ass to the gym when you didn't feel like it. It was the shoveling the meal when you didn't feel like it. The going to bed, the skipping the parties, you know, like that. And that's the stuff that people don't get dialed in first, and they should. I'm all for a 20-year-old wanting to start things, but like, get all that other stuff in, because if you just throw that in and don't do any of that, you're not going to get the results. Now you've wasted money and you've hurt your health. If you're going to hurt your health, at least get something out of it, in my opinion, you know? Like, I think the Olympians, they understand that they're putting themselves at risk, but look what they're getting out of it. That's their career. They're making, you know, their money off it. They're setting up their future that way. And so there's a lot of things that we do that, you know, you could say that, you know, police officers and stuff putting themselves in harm for their, you know, same type of thing. They're putting themselves in harm in a different way. But if you're going to employ it, make sure that you get all of it that you can. Don't just stick the needle in your butt and expect to turn into Mark or you. You know, it's not going to happen. It's not. And I mean, yeah, they might make a small bit more gains than other people, but they're not going to turn out to be the elite lifter that they think they are.
Yeah. And long term, like you mentioned, some of those guys end up stopping working out. Now, I'm not going to say that they didn't love exercise, because, I mean, if he got up to 300 pounds, even if he was on stuff, he must have loved the gym. But, you know, I don't see myself stopping working out for any reason, because number one, I've enjoyed it for such a long time. And number two, it's not just for how I look in the mirror. It's for all the other benefits it gives me mentally outside of the gym and what it's doing for me. So if you don't love it and you only enjoy it because of the amount of size you see yourself gaining week by week, year by year, and then you aren't gaining that anymore, shit, that's not good. You really have to like that shit.
I agree. I should clarify too. I don't think like Fuad, he still trains, but they were just talking, like, he's just focused more on running now, because it's like, I can do this a lot better naturally, and I can almost kind of be competitive in it. I can set up a race for myself. The lifting's still there, and they love it, obviously. So yeah, I don't want to misspeak on his behalf, is the only thing. But yeah, for sure, that's huge.
Power Project family, this clip is brought to you by cocaine. I mean the cold plunge, because they pretty much do the same thing. Enjoy the clip.
Like, it should just be to help you with your sport. You know, you shouldn't be, it would be dumb to do steroids and work out because you're on steroids. You know, I think that's kind of what you're saying.
But I know some people who have done that. Like, they hopped on, they did a cycle or whatever, and
they barely train.
And once they came off, they don't train, because they don't feel the same way as they feel when training when they're on some shit.
Easy to do too, because you go from feeling great, the weight is moving better, you got the aggression, all that goes away, and that's when you got to dig into that willpower and that you probably don't have because you didn't set it up before getting into there. You know. Yeah. So I think we can, like, yesterday I worked out with like, you know, I'm just on plain TRT right now. worked out with Smokey and my buddy yesterday, and they're both bigger than me. I didn't take any pre-workout. I'm 3 hours back. It was late at night, so but I had an amazing workout because I knew how to tap into that motivation that I have, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what some people don't learn how to do, and they're looking for the pill or the injection to get that. And, you know, that's everything in life, business, school, all that. There's no quick fix. You got to suck it up and do the work, you know? I do wish people would put way more emphasis on that. And that's something I am trying to talk to. A lot of the patients come in. Like I said, a lot of them are pretty dialed in and they're kind of looking for that extra few percent, which is cool. But when we do get the occasional younger guy in, it is kind of nice too that they're coming. They're obviously proactive about this stuff. They chose us over the one that's just going to write them a script. And so I can sit down and talk to them about like, let's figure out your nutrition, man. Let's figure out your diet. Like, let's figure out how you're training, how you're sleeping, who you're hanging out with, what supplements you're taking, how much water, like that stuff means so much too. I do like to be able to make that impact on people's lives.
I would like everybody just to try something. Just
Me too.
go into the gym and do like 3 sets of something. Lat pull downs, dumbbell presses, have about a minute rest in between sets, do about 10 reps, pick a weight that's appropriate for you. Go in for that day without a pre-workout.
Yeah.
When you're done with just those couple sets, you're usually all set to work out. Yeah. Throw on some good music and fucking have a party. Like I love pre-workout. I love caffeine. I like all this stuff. It's good to get hyped up. It's good to do some of this stuff all the time, here and there. But you don't necessarily need it. Like if you go in the gym and just start moving around, that's where the motivation a lot of times kicks in.
Yeah,
I know for me anyway.
Some like elite lifters and athletes and stuff, they will purposely train alone, like with no music, no pre-workout. And so that when they get to meet day, when they can deploy all that stuff, that they get
extra.
That. Yeah. And like CrossFitter Josh Bridges, you know, like Navy SEAL dude, he always talks about doing like no music by himself in the garage, just like suffering, you know, putting yourself in that pain cave. It's a lot easier to do when you got the whole gym firing you up and the music's cranking and you pounded some dry scoop, some jacked 3D, you know, like it's easy to get going, but it's really hard to tap into that, to be like, this sucks and I'm going to hang out in there. And that's where like the cold plunge and stuff that you guys are doing, that's like the scientific term would be basically like stress resilience, like increasing that epinephrine and hanging out in it and being like, I want to run out of this, but I'm not going to. I'm going to sit here and endure the pain. And that helps. And it trickles down, I think. And you've probably seen it too, like in business and things, like things get shitty sometimes. Life sucks sometimes. And the people who make it through the other end are the ones that just, you know, they stick it out. They work hard and they deal with the suck, and then they get all the benefit. Too many people these days, I think, as soon as things hurt, they turn away, you know, and they think that they just need something to push. They need a little bit of a buffer, be it a drug or something to push them through the painful. But I think we should embrace the suck a little bit more, personally.
Yeah. So, Power Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.